What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newsway. Well, it turns out today we have a Nintendo Direct to look forward to after Nintendo randomly announced this event yesterday online, but it's a bit different than what we typically expect from a Direct. We'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about more sales that have been popping up, specifically this one being for PlayStation, and we'll also be talking about Capcom maybe preparing a big announcement for Mega Man. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps that a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Nintendo and F-Zero. Now, there's been several rumors, of course, that have cropped up over the past several years about there maybe being something new for F-Zero. Got to a point where a person showed up to an investors meeting to specifically ask about older intellectual properties, and that does include F-Zero. Well, now we're getting some more information around that prototype that was sort of talked about in an Ask Me Anything with Giles Goddard, who was an ex-Nintendo programmer, and this is what he had to say with Did You Know Gaming. It was super fast, super chaotic, super realistic physics, so it feels like F-Zero, but there's a lot more depth there. It was quite interesting to see what situations you could get the entire race into, this being transcribed by Eurogamer. So it was just fun playing around and seeing how badly you could screw up the race. A fresh take on F-Zero would have been really cool, but there was a bit more talk around the core concept of the prototype, which was massive multiplayer. You'd have 16 human players and 16 AI, so 32 total in each race, a map editor with courses shared with friends, and it was planned to run at 60 FPS on the Switch. Unfortunately, all this fell through, including the release of a demo for the prototype, that for legal reasons. But wow, that would have been very interesting to see in motion with 32 different people racing around, half being AI, and the idea of just this mass destruction. You could mess up the entire race. You know what? Here's a free idea for Nintendo. Maybe an F-Zero 99, where you have this for the Nintendo Switch online service. You just have 99 different people connect and race around on a track, even if it was like Nintendo 64 visuals for F-Zero. The fact that you could have that many people racing around and crashing into each other would be pretty fun. I would sign up for NSO for that one. Also, it looks like we have a bit more information around that Microsoft Activision deal and maybe some plans of what Microsoft could do to smooth things over in the EU to get this deal pushed through. We can see this posted up by Reuters, where they say, exclusive, Microsoft likely to offer EU concessions soon, an Activision deal. This according to people familiar with the matter. And the biggest one they point to is, well, you probably guessed it, consists mainly of a 10-year licensing deal to PlayStation owner Sony, with that being Call of Duty. And yeah, again, that's mostly what Sony's been bringing up. We've already heard from Microsoft and Phil Spencer that they've offered a 10-year deal, and we're not 100% sure if that's from as soon as the deal closes or if that's additional time for what Sony already has, which I think runs through 2024. So 10 years from 2024, we're talking 2034, that Call of Duty would show up completely the same on the PlayStation as it does on the Xbox or PC or anything there. We'll see how all of this goes, but as I mentioned, this is something that seems to be ramping up all across the world now, and we'll see if Microsoft can get this thing closed by the estimate time of basically June 2023. Oh, and a quick heads up for Callisto Protocol, that coming out at the end of this week, and it turns out the review embargo is set for essentially that same time. We can see this over on Twitter from Metacritic saying the Callisto Protocol reviews going up hours prior for when the game comes out on Friday, asking for meta score predictions. Of course, this being a concern for many people when the review embargo is essentially at release, that raises some eyebrows as to why exactly, and honestly, it's hard to say. From what I've seen, the day one patch is over 25 gigabytes, so that also coming out the first week of December. I'm sure the game is coming in hot just to get it out for the holiday season, but I will see what the reviews are coming in. I think I'm going to put a Metacritic score prediction right in the mid to low 80s. I'm gonna go 84 on this one. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with the Nintendo Direct that is set to air later on this afternoon. And when you hear Nintendo Direct, there are a lot of things that go through your mind, of course, with different games from Nintendo. Unfortunately, they've kind of used that Nintendo Direct marketing for all kinds of other things at this point, and they are now in a position where they will announce a Direct and then tell you, yeah, no games are going to be here. And you go, what? a Nintendo Direct with no games, what are they going to show? Well, they've, of course, used that marketing for their theme park, and that actually ended up being a fun Direct because the theme park was very impressive overall. But now we have a movie coming out next year, and that is what they are targeting here for this Direct. We can see this posted up over on Twitter. They say, join us 2 p.m. Pacific time on November 29th for the world premiere of the Super Mario Bros. Movie second trailer. No game information will be included in this Nintendo Direct. So it is currently queued up, scheduled over on YouTube on Nintendo's account, so you can get that reminder set up and all this. But based on what we saw last time, it was just a trailer, and they had Miyamoto talking for a bit about it with some of the actors that'll be doing the voices in the movie. I kind of think we're gonna have something similar here, where it's gonna be a trailer that's a couple of minutes long, if that, and that's sort of it. But, I mean, they do give us some hints here as to what we can expect from it. Obviously, we see inside the castle here, and it looks like based on the window that they're focusing in on, we're probably going to see Peach, the debut of Princess Peach, in the movie. At the end of the last trailer, we saw Mario and Toad racing off towards the castle, so maybe this picks up as they reach the castle and give us a bit more backstory as to what exactly is happening here, because, you know, with Mario, it seemed he was unsure as to the world he had entered, so I guess this would be him meeting Princess Peach for the first time. The one thing I hope we get out of this second trailer is just a bit more dialogue out of Mario, so we can kind of gauge the overall effect of Chris Pratt's voice coming out of the Mario character. We're trying to get a grasp of it here just from the last one, but there weren't that many lines, and none of them were in conversation necessarily. They were mostly Mario kind of whispering to himself a bit, or even just yelling into the void as they're running to the castle. So that's what I would like to see, is maybe Toad and Mario walking along the streets up to the castle, and then just kind of have a quick back and forth so we can get an idea as to how this will sound for the 90-minute or so movie. So while there won't be any games there, I am genuinely curious as to what they're going to show us for this movie. And Nintendo is kind of advertising this like you would expect a video game company to advertise a video game. It's just, it's their movie coming up. That's obviously very important to Nintendo, and I think it's going to do very well next year when it debuts. So exciting stuff. We'll keep an eye out for this trailer later on today. Next up, let's talk about the UK sales charts. These ones are interesting in particular because they do cover Black Friday that entire week, and obviously there's a lot of shopping that goes on, a lot of deals, so sometimes the charts will look a little strange and you'll see games kind of move around, even jump up that you wouldn't expect, and that did happen this past week. Let's take a look at the top 10, starting with FIFA 23. No shock at all here, by the way, that FIFA would be number one, and I expect it to be one for a little while now with the World Cup, of course, going on. Then we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. They have Pokemon Scarlet written here. I believe that's a typo. That's supposed to be Pokemon Violet. Then we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is the first one you're looking at like, oh, what? Wow, that jumped up. I mean, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is seemingly always in the top 10, but it moved from 8th place to 4th, and that mostly has to do with, well, the bundle that Nintendo has been running for 5 or 6 years straight now. It had a 226% increase in sales. Moving from there, we have God of War Ragnarok at 5. Then we have Pokemon Scarlet at 6. Sonic Frontiers made the jump from 10th to 7th place, and that has to do with some of the sales that were running to where it was down to, what, $30 or something for Black Friday, jumped 203%. So, hey, shout out to Sonic Frontiers. I think that's going to be a pretty big seller for Sega when it's all said and done, especially compared to Sonic Forces, which apparently that exceeded their expectations. So I have to imagine Sonic Frontiers will as well. Then we have Nintendo Switch Sports, Just Dance 2023, and Animal Crossing New Horizons. Now, both Pokemon Violet and Scarlet, of course, fell down the sales charts, as you would expect for its second week, dropping 64% in sales week on week, and that's about right. Typically, as is pointed out here, you'll see a drop of anywhere from 50 to 70%, with, as an example, Legends Arceus dropping off 72%. So, now, it doesn't appear that the word of mouth with the glitches and bugs and stuff that are going around online are really affecting the sales of Pokemon, and I'm not really expecting them to overall because, once again, it's an open world Pokemon game that's gonna sell. And overall, looking back on it, Black Friday sales, at least in retail stores, were down 15%. Not surprising, once again, because a lot of these sales, especially during the holiday time period, is shifting more and more to online purchases. So yeah, any of these reports that focus in on the retail, the hard copies, and all of this are going to drop somewhat. And we'll see as we head along here throughout the holidays how things continue to unfold for these Pokemon games. I do believe that Nintendo is going to be reporting some big numbers for their quarterly report, that being in February or March, when they have those numbers published for investors. I'm thinking 20 million or so for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but again, we'll find out as we head into next year. Next up, let's talk about PlayStation's end of year sale. It is currently live and will be running until December 21st, so technically not to the end of the year, but if you are someone who is maybe gifting a PlayStation system to someone for the first time and you wanted to pick up some digital stocking stuffers, this is a great chance to do so, because if you have a PlayStation account pre-set up ahead of Christmas morning, which I do recommend everyone do, because then you don't have to fight through everyone else who's going to be hogging the bandwidth and hitting the website really, really hard, or the PlayStation Store, in order to set up all of those details. But you can purchase the different digital games, add them to the account so they're ready to go on Christmas morning. But let's take a look here. We'll scroll through some of the deals, and I wrote some down, and I was certainly focusing in on the idea of digital stocking stuffers, so I definitely was veering towards the cheap side. But let's start from the top here. Resident Evil 2, $10. Again, the next-gen updates and all of this, definitely a good one to pick up there. Fallout 4, $6.59. We know that is also getting an update to go along with the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5 and all of this in 2023. Metal Gear Solid 5 Definitive Edition, $4. Sleeping Dogs Definitive, $4.49. Code Vein at $9. Castlevania Requiem, that's the Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood bundle at $4. Dragon's Dogma, $4.79. Dead Island Definitive at $3. I believe Riptide is right at $3 as well. No More Heroes 3, that one is $35. I had to grab that because it's pretty recent, and if you haven't checked it out, the version that we're seeing now on the PS5 is pretty good. Titanfall 2, awesome campaign, certainly worth the entry fee of $4. Control Ultimate Edition at $12. Contra Collection, $4. Persona 5 Strikers at $24. Castlevania Collection at $6. Mega Man Zero ZX Collection at $15. Tales of Zestria, $6. Shenmue 1 and 2, $6. And then Capcom Beat 'em Up Bundle at $10. But there are pages and pages of these deals. I mean, there's hundreds of games currently on sale, so definitely worth going through and seeing if there are any you want to pick up, especially since there are many that are $10 or less. Again, a good thing to look at for maybe those digital stocking stuffers, and obviously leave some suggestions down below if you pick out anything that's really good. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Capcom and Mega Man. We're coming up on the 35th anniversary for the Mega Man series. That's right, 35 years of the Blue Bomber, and I kind of think we're coming up to a point where maybe it is time for a new Mega Man game announcement. Well, there are some things that are popping up here that certainly have people hoping that could be a sign of things to come. For example, we can see this over on Rockman Corner, saying placeholder domains for Mega Man 12 through Mega Man 15, that's right, registered, and they've been recently updated. Okay, so in 2018, as they point out here, Mega Man 12, 13, 14, and 15 were all registered, which obviously Capcom wants to do that just even in a just-in-case scenario. Maybe they're not going to do up through Mega Man 15, but then you never know. Maybe Mega Man 11 goes on to be the best-selling in the franchise. Oh wait, it did do that, didn't it? And then in March 2022, all 4 were updated. Almost like maybe they are preparing for the 35th anniversary. Now trust me, I would like to see them kind of change off between Mega Man and then Mega Man X, then come back to Mega Man, because there is a distinct playstyle difference between them, and I do prefer Mega Man X, the wall climbing and all of those different armors that upgrade. There's a lot of really cool stuff there, and then you throw Zero in as a playable character, sure. But I understand Mega Man 11 did well. It sold well, and sure, a lot of that probably has to do with some of the sales they've been running. As an example, it's less than $10 right now during that PlayStation sale, and that's a common thing that's been happening over the last year or two. But I mean, it seems that Mega Man is at least in a good position when it comes to releasing on a large install base. If they did Mega Man 12, it would probably come out on everything. It'd be on the PlayStation 4, the 5, the Switch, the Xbox, and that's a lot of people they could try to sell to. So why not take a shot with Mega Man 12 while they're clearly on the upswing, with Mega Man 11 being the best-selling one in the franchise? And since next month is the 35th anniversary, why not announce a new game at the Game Awards? I think that'd be a nice surprise, sort of out of left field for a lot of people. Not quite the surprise with something like Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3, which, I mean, that legitimately came out of nowhere, but it would still be one that people go, oh yeah, wow, a new Mega Man game. That's really cool. So come on, Capcom, do the right thing here. I'm crossing my fingers. Let's see Mega Man 12 at the Game Awards in a week or two. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I said, of these games, what is your most anticipated release for 2023? And to be honest, I was going through many of the games coming out next year, and there are some I had to leave off. I got to actually pick some. I'm like, all right, I guess I can't, can I not fit Fire Emblem Engage on here? They only let me do 5 games or options here for the poll. But of them, it looks like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom took the top spot with 56% voting as their most anticipated release for 2023. Spider-Man 2 right behind it, then Resident Evil 4, then Starfield, and Final Fantasy 16 kind of tying there at the end. And yeah, looking at this, Tears of the Kingdom is my most anticipated release because I'm still very curious as to what's going to make this so much different from Breath of the Wild. I know we've seen, obviously, the verticality to the whole thing where they basically jumped out of the bus for Fortnite and Link's like flying down to the surface. But still, what else do we have with this game? I think there's still a lot to be revealed, and the fact that it's going to be 6 years between releases. I mean, think about this. We had Horizon come out a week before Breath of the Wild. That's already had its sequel release. We had God of War come out a year later. That sequel's already come out. No, something with this game is certainly, I would say, ambitious, and I feel like we're going to get a pretty big reveal for this title that's going to be that aha moment, probably to kick off 2023. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Mind Art Creativity, saying, after playing Scarlet and Violet for a week, I fired up Legends Arceus just to compare. Arceus looks so good in comparison, not only good in general, but better than Scarlet and Violet. But immediately, I also missed the Scarlet Violet mechanics like free camera control. Yeah, that's a big one. I just wished Scarlet and Violet had more features like Arceus and would have been built on that foundation. So the funny thing about this, and I have noticed it, is a lot of people are saying, wow, Arceus looks much better. It looks good. Do you remember when Arceus was first being shown? People were like, oh, why does the game look so bad? And now, Scarlet and Violet have pulled that bar down so low that people look at Arceus and go, wow, that's a pretty good looking game, isn't it? To me, that's more telling to Scarlet and Violet and the condition that it released in. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. There's the Nintendo Direct happening later on this afternoon. New trailer for the Mario movie. What do you hope to see there? And then also, what about Capcom and Mega Man? 35th anniversary is happening in December. Is it finally time to get an announcement for a new Mega Man game? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.